Hey everyone, and welcome to another video. Ignore the sound of my air conditioner and my fans. It's very, very hot in here. Oh my gosh. But it's March 3rd for me because I haven't gone to bed yet. And today I'm going to be reviewing a book called The Winter Prince by Constance Lopez. It's part of the Once Upon a Prince series. And this one's a Beauty and the Beast retelling. So I've already done one book in the Once Upon a Prince series. I think I actually put the review on here. If I did, it'll probably be a card or at the end. But so yeah, I love this series. I got introduced to it from an author friend of mine, Angie Gergalunas. I can't pronounce her last name. She wrote The Midnight Prince and introduced me to the series, and I got the whole series. And so now I'm reading through it. I'm a sucker for fairy tale retellings, and I've been in a Beauty and the Beast mode. Mood. I've been in a Beauty and the Beast mood like crazy. I watched like the Disney movie. I rewatched, the animated one, the live action, and I needed more. So I'm gonna be reviewing. Let me see if I can get this to clear for you guys. I will pop the cover up here on the screen if you can't get this to clear. But The Winter Prince by Constance Lopez. So, first of all, I have read a lot of fairy tale retellings, but I've read specifically Beauty and the Beast retelling. So for those of you who don't know, the A Court of Thorns and Roses, the first book in that series, is a Beauty and the Beast retelling. So I'll pop up, I had my review of that book, I'll pop it up here. And then I did another one, I can't remember the name of the book, but if I do find it and have the video, I'll pop it up here as a card as well. So I have a lot of Beauty and the Beast retellings. For me personally, this is the best one. Of course, I'm holding up a blank Kindle, but you get my point though. The Winter Prince is the best Beauty and the Beast retelling I have ever read. And I'm very picky. I've read a lot of, and I would go as far as to say it's been my favorite fairy tale retelling that I've ever read. And right now it's my favorite fae romance because it does include fae. And I've read a lot of fae romances too. So there was Thorns and the other Thorns book. I can't remember the name of it because it's like A Court of Thorns and Roses, but it's like a Fae of Thorns or something like that. So I'll pop that up as a card as well. So The Winter Prince, I mean, this is a phenomenal book, you guys. I love it. I don't even feel good today, and I'm still I was like, how am I gonna film my review because I'm just tired and out of it and not feeling well, and yet I've still got the energy to talk about this book because I love this book. So one thing that I did love about this book is it actually does all of the original story beats from the original Beauty and the Beast fairy tale. So I have actually read the original Beauty and the Beast fairy tale multiple times to try to get inspiration for writing one myself. And she hit all of the main story beats for the original fairy tale. And I've honestly never actually found a fairy tale retelling book that actually includes one aspect from the original fairy tale, which is that when Beauty goes to Beast's castle, she starts having dreams of a prince every night, and a prince visits her in her dreams, and she thinks that the prince is captured by the Beast, and then in the end finds out that the prince really is the Beast. And I've never seen that plot thread. It's always been taken out because usually people will kind of go by Disney, and Disney didn't do that. And so, but this book actually includes it and uses it in a way that let me get my words straight. This book includes that plot thread and uses it in a way that serves the story. So the main character, Kiana, and the Beast named Revy, who is the Winter Prince, they are phenomenal characters. And there was another character, Revy has a cousin named Enlo. And I noticed when I was reading, there's a funny situation that happened. I noticed when I was starting to read the story, it goes to Kiana's perspective at one point, and then I was looking at the table of contents, and each chapter had the character name of whose perspective that chapter was going to be, and I noticed it was like Revy, and then Enlo, Revy, and there's only 4 or 5 chapters of Kiana's perspective the whole time, and I was just like, what is that? I was confused. And then you read the book and you find out it's very necessary for the plot. I wouldn't really call it, there's just a lot, there's some nice twists. There's a plot thread that I don't know how to say, I don't want to spoil anything, but it's not really a mystery per se because you as the reader know what's going on, but there are things that wow, I'm really articulating this well. all three characters have something going on that they really don't know about, and there's interesting plot threads and drama that's going on that's really, really fun, and I love it. And it's not a love triangle, like contrary to popular belief, and it's just so good. The writing is really, really good. Like, literally, I saw no mistakes, no nothing. There were instances where the writer uses the word was, and she could have changed a few of those to better verbs, and that's what I would call tightening up the writing. That is it. I really don't have any complaints at all. Honestly, I should not have shaken my head. I'm having lightheadedness and dizziness, so when I shake my head and move too much, it gets, dizzy and stuff. But I'm just so excited about this book. Like, I literally cannot express to you. And then another thing that has always driven me crazy about these, like, I'm a sucker for fairy tale romances, fairy tale retellings, and romances that have that fairy tale vibe to it, because that's not a genre that I write, so I soak those in and read them so much. And they're usually, and especially this, they're clean. And I love clean romances too, especially like this one, because the characters develop this emotional connection that actually is realistic and means something. And a lot of times you don't see that with other fairy tale retellings or with fantasy romances that get spicy, like A Court of Thorns and Roses, because it's all about, spicy content, we'll put it that way. But yeah, and so I love that it's clean. It's got such a good, Kiana and Revy have this cool relationship, and of course you have the duality between the prince who's coming to see her in her dreams versus the beast. So there's kind of two different dynamics between the characters there, and there's this one scene that I have to gush about later. But it's so cool. But back to my original, what I was gonna say, the only thing that's really drove me crazy about fantasy romances and fairy tale retellings and a lot of fantasy books that are in these type of genres, that they're all female characters and all told from the female perspective. And that drives me absolutely insane. I don't know why, but I'm the kind of author, I love and I prefer writing and reading male characters. Like, I connect so much better with male characters. I prefer reading about them. I love gushing about a good male character that you can get a crush on as you read the book. Like, I prefer male characters. And they're usually always told from the female's perspective, like Feyre from A Court of Thorns and Roses. And this one is primarily told from Revy's perspective. You have his cousin Inlo thrown in a few times because there's a necessary plot going on with him that we have to have his perspective. But, I mean, he's also a guy character. I like Inlo and the way that he was developed as a character. Like, there are things about him, like, obviously all characters have flaws, so there's a few flaws that he has, but I still like him as a character. He's really well written. But it's, again, the story, The Winter Prince, is primarily told from Revy's perspective. When you get like five or so chapters from Kiana's perspective when they're necessary, and I love it. I found it so refreshing, you guys, so refreshing. Like, I love it. Like the other one, The Midnight Prince, which I loved that book. I think it was dual POV, so you would go back and forth between the guy and girl character, so at least we still got the guy character from that one. And that's why I'm so intrigued by the Once Upon a Prince series as a whole, because all of these books are about the princes fighting for their happy ending, and a lot of fairy tale retellings and fantasy romances and fantasy YA books have just ousted guy characters out of the stories, and the only time you even see guys on the cover really are erotica, and that's with bare-chested men. Sometimes you can't even see their faces. And I just appreciate that these are clean romances, that they're fairy tales, but they're finally fairy tales told from the prince's perspectives and them fighting for their happy ending. Like, we need this kind of stuff. We need these kind of books these days, and I've missed this, honestly. Like, I don't know, I never really found anything like it before, but I feel like I really need books with good guy characters like this, and it's just so good. And did I mention that it's clean? Like, it is 100% squeaky clean, and I absolutely love it. Like, I am here for it, because like I said, the characters, Revy and Kiana, develop this real emotional, actual, realistic love between them that they work through in a realistic way, and they have deep connections. So to the scene I wanted to talk about, I literally have to talk about it. So if you don't want to know anything about the book and you want to just read it and react to everything in real time, then skip to this time. I'll put it on the screen here, but I have to tell you guys this quick scene. It's not really a spoiler, it's just one of those scenes that you may want to read without knowing it, because then your reaction to it will be more nice, I guess. But here it goes. So basically he is, he can shapeshift between animal forms, so he prefers like a frost cat and a wolf. And at one point she's really homesick, and she tells him that at home she actually raises rabbits. So the next day at dinner he actually shifts into a rabbit, and he hates it. He doesn't like, he is very prideful and very arrogant, and so for him it's like humiliating to do that, but he wants to do something nice for her. And then she asks if she can pet him, and so he's like, yes, but he's like so uncomfortable and he hates it. And it's just this cute thing that he did for her. And then she starts crying, and she obviously, you can tell that she's doing it because she's thankful for how thoughtful he was. He thinks he's made things worse, and he hates being a rabbit. Like, he hates it, and it's so funny, but it's also really touching and thoughtful. And I loved how the author, all right, you guys can this is the part where you can watch again to avoid spoilers. So I loved how the author wove that particular scene together, and not only gave them a connection, showing, and also showed the duality of how this character, how Revy thinks, and even when he's watching her, we can tell that he's thinking she's reacting one way, but we know, because, you know, we know women, and like, I don't know, it just felt obvious to me how she thought about it, and the duality there. And just, it also became a good character development point for him because of how he normally acts, and then what he had to do in this scene, and how it was very different from how he normally would react. And so it kind of knocked him down a few pegs, because he normally has a lot of pride and arrogance and stuff. And it's just a beautifully written scene that is not only a relationship cute moment between the two of them that can help develop them, but it also emotionally meant a lot to both characters, to Kiana especially, but it was also a really pivotal character development plot point for him as well. And it's just masterfully written and woven together. Like, I absolutely love it. Like, so, like, I cannot express to you, like, I started this, today I haven't gone to bed yet, so it's the March 3rd for me. I started it on Saturday, which was the 2nd, so I read chapter 1 on Saturday, and then, hold on, today's the 3rd? No, I started chapter 1 on Friday, the 1st of March, and then Saturday, yesterday, I read from chapter 2 all the way to about 60% of the book. And then tonight I read from 60% on to the end. So it's taken me 3 days to read this thing. I just breezed through it because I loved it. And honestly, like, again, I love that it's clean. I love that they have this really, really good romance. I love Revy's character, and I love that she included all of the beats of the original fairy tale in this book. Like, so many people, like, I love a good twisted fairy tale where you take it, you make it your own, you add a twist to it, or like a gender swapped fairy tale. I'm all there for it, but sometimes it's nice to actually have somebody write the fairy tale as it was originally meant to be written, but like in a modern way. Not, this is in a fantasy world, so it's not a modern world, but in a modern way that we can enjoy today, because I understand that, like, when you read the original fairy tales, it's very short, it's very old, and so it's nice to actually have a story that is like more fit for today, and you know, us as an audience, but including all of the original beats, but expanding upon the story. And I firmly believe that this is an exact, like, replica of what Beauty and the Beast would be if it was written today, like, in a way that makes sense. It honored the original fairy tale. It also included some plot, like, I don't want to say plot threads, but it included some beats that I could tell were kind of inspired loosely by the Disney version. For example, in the Disney version, like, for those of you who've seen it, we all know that at one point Belle gets scared off by the Beast, so she leaves the castle when she shouldn't. She gets attacked by wolves. Beast comes and saves her, but he gets hurt in the process. And there is a moment in here where she had promised not to leave the castle, and due to circumstances she does. She's attacked by something, and he saves her and gets injured. That is a similar plot thread, but there's extra things added to it that make it more interesting, more intriguing, more dramatic. There's other plot threads going on, and it's so intense. And there's probably at least like I don't know, I want to say like three extra, I don't know, there's so many aspects added to this that is so intriguing. And the duality, like I said, it's not really a mystery, it's a mystery to Kiana. And there is things going on that Revy doesn't know. There's things going on that Kiana doesn't know. I would say Inlo is probably the most informed, but even then, there's still aspects that he doesn't know. and it just creates this mystery for the characters that as a reader I loved reading and seeing if they were going to figure it out or not, and what was going to happen, and then to do the duality between Kiana getting to know the beast versus Kiana seeing the prince in her dreams, and how that was actually handled as well. And I just, oh my goodness, like I actually need more. Like I really want to know more about the couple afterwards. I think that it was open. It was kind of like everything was tied up, all plotlet threads were tied up, but there is like potential for things to be more included, like another thing to be added to it in the future. And I do think that the author has like a bonus story, and it's set in her story world, so that there's other stories going on in the world. And so that was kind of exciting for me, because I'm like, oh, I may actually like explore this author and read more of her stuff. So any complaints? No, absolutely not. Like, I am telling you, this is my favorite fairy tale retelling and my favorite fantasy romance, because unlike A Court of Thorns and Roses, I love Court of Thorns and Roses, but it's not clean. It is so spicy, and the series gets worse as it goes on in terms of spice level. This is not spicy. It's so clean, and it's so cozy, and it's so sweet, but it is just as dramatic and gritty, I would say. Like, it's cozy and sweet, but it has the drama and the action and the grit where I need it. It's got the tragic male who, you know, who's also flawed and made a lot of mistakes. It's got the guilt. It's got the grumpy male with like a happy-go-lucky person. It's got mistaken identity, which was a new plot thread that I hadn't heard of. And then there's a couple other tropes there too, which I need to do a whole video about this because I'm so confused. I noticed this one, and I think The Midnight Prince and some other books similar to these have this trope called touch her and die, and I honestly was thinking it was like literally if she touches him or he touches her, one or both of them will die. And I was reading on Google to try to figure it out, and some seem to indicate it's more like the guy being possessive, like if you touch her, I will kill you because I'm possessive over her. And so now I'm confused and I don't actually understand what that plot thread is, or what that trope is. So if you guys know what that trope is, let me know in the comments below, because I'm stupid. But that's neither here nor there. Honestly, I cannot think of a single complaint that I had about this book. I would say the ending, I was like resolved. I was looking at the bottom of the Kindle and it was like 80%, and I was getting closer, and it was like 70 something percent when everything kind of got resolved. And so I was like, I've got 70% to like 100 to get to like, you know, to wind everything down and to like, you know, do all the plot threads and stuff, and that felt like a lot of the book left, but it actually kind of ended at 90%, and the rest of that was like all back matter. So that just panicked me, because I was like, oh my gosh, what else is going to happen, because everything's already resolved and we've still got a lot of the book left. But a lot of that was like back matter stuff, so that wasn't a big deal. I honestly can't think of a single complaint. Like, the biggest thing, like I said, sometimes I could see that could have been a better verb, and that's it. I saw no grammar or vocabulary mistakes or anything at all. Like, and I can't think of a single thing I would change, honestly. Like, I genuinely loved this version of Beauty and the Beast. I loved everything the author did. As I said, I really, really loved the fairy tale plot beats. It was all like there, but just expanded to make it a full story, and a full story that can be enjoyed now in this day and age, at my age, at anybody, you know, at anybody's age. Because I do admit the original fairy tales are really, really old, so some of them are really hard to read and they're not that entertaining when you think about it, but the main story is still there, while including a new twist on it. I really, really loved the twist with how the curse comes to be. I won't spoil it for you guys. It is like the beginning of the book. Literally, like in the prologue, it's all explained, but it's still, I don't want to spoil it for you guys, but it's so like dramatic and mature and like more fit for, I don't know, like me as a reader and people my age, and just I love it so much. So honestly, I really do not have any complaints at all. Like, I wish there were more books like this, and honestly, I can't wait to continue reading the series, because I've really enjoyed The Midnight Prince when I read it, and I've really loved The Winter Prince. So they've actually raised the standards, so I have high standards for the rest of the books in this series. The thing that I wanted to add was this world was so creative. The world, I know that fae romances, they're so cliche, it's just copy and pasted. No, the fae in this one was so well built. The magic system was absolutely phenomenally built. Like, this is my favorite fae magic system, as well as my favorite fae romance, my favorite fantasy romance, and my favorite fairy tale retelling, my favorite Beauty and the Beast retelling. Like, it nails so many different things. Like, it is so good. The magic system, the world, and the court, and the magic system, it was so creative. I really loved it. The author did such a good job and put so much thought into it. But back to the regular part of the video. And again, it's the Once Upon a Prince series. This particular book was The Winter Prince by Constance Lopez, and it's Beauty and the Beast retelling. So in the meantime, if you liked this video, please be sure to give it a like and subscribe for more writing and reading videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And in the meantime, if you liked my review of The Winter Prince, then check out my review of The Midnight Prince, which is another book in the same series of standalone romances, fairy tale retellings of princes trying to fight for their happy endings. Check that one out. You don't want to miss it.